J, coming today with a new video for the morning coffee. You know, every Monday I drop new inspirational content just for you. So guys, this Monday's morning coffee, I want to talk to you about doing the work. The truth is, recently I posted something on my Instagram about how sometimes I don't always want to sit down and do the work that God has put in front of me. I will have so many prayer requests and so many lists of things to do, and sometimes I just don't want to do the work. But I want to tell you how when you decide to do the work, it actually gives you the peace, the fulfillment, and it breaks you through. Because one thing I need you to remember is that if you are not faithful with little, God cannot give you much. If I will not be faithful with the few thousands that God has given me, He will not give me more thousands, right? If I'm not faithful with the $3, He will not give me 300, right? So I want to encourage you today to be faithful with your little so God can bless you with much. But my message today is not so much about your faithfulness. It's about getting willing to do the work that is before you. See, God puts us in seasons to do work, to sit down and to begin to work on the things that He has for us. But the truth is, if we look up in our lives and we see that we've been stuck for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, then guess what happens? If we realize how stuck we are, that means we're not moving forward, and we're most likely looking at ourselves through an old lens. When I say an old lens, I'm talking about a lens that you've seen yourself through for previous seasons. Maybe the lens before you were saved, the lens before you was restored, the lens before you was whole, the lens before you was walking in grace. See, we look at ourselves through old lenses, and I want to tell you someone in the Bible that did this. It was Esther. You see, Esther was this orphan. She was taken in by her uncle/cousin Mordecai. Mordecai took her in and he raised her. Esther had no mother, no father, right? So Esther was just an average woman, but when she became the queen, something happened amongst her people. Her people were getting ready to get exiled and get killed. And her uncle Mordecai, he let her know that you are in the inner courts. You have power and authority where you're at, okay? So you have to speak up and you have to do something. But Esther did not believe she could. Esther said, no, I can't do this. But it's because she was still seeing herself through the old lens as the orphan Esther, as the low Esther, as the unworthy Esther, as not the queen Esther walking in power and authority. You see, Esther was in the inner courts. So she had the inner right, she had rights. Okay, so the encouragement to you today is to quit looking at ourselves as in the outer courts. In the outer courts, we have to look at God from a distance. We have to speak to Him from a distance. We don't get His revelation because we don't believe we're in the inner courts. I want to tell you, when you're in the inner courts with God, you get His ideas, you get His blessing. Everything that's His is now yours. And so that's what the thing is. Mordecai had to reveal to Esther that you no longer have to look out of the old lens in your life. Because guess what? You're in the inner courts. The inner courts, you now have power and authority. You now have understanding and revelation. Everything that God reveals and breaks free is now yours. If He says this is a break-free season, guess what? You're going to be broken free. If God sends out a word, you're going to hear that word and you're going to be receiving it. So my word today to you is to start moving because you were called for such a time as this. See, the thing about it is Esther wanted to be quiet and be still, right? She didn't want to move on it. But she had to, but we need to realize that in that season, it was not her time to be quiet. That wasn't her time to be still. That was her time to move forward. And that's my encouragement to you. This is your time to move forward. If you have been stuck for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, that's keep coming back to my mind. If you've been stuck for 4 years, you have to be willing to move forward now. It's no longer time to sit still. It's no longer time to say the job just won't come open. God is saying this is your season. Oh, it's going to come open, but you got to be willing to get moving. Stop just trying to be still. Stop trying to be okay and content with where you're at. God says, I've got more for you. And you got to be willing to move forward. You've got to be willing to do the work and get the work done. You see, Esther was in the thinking, I will just sit still. I won't say anything. I don't have that authority. But what happened is when she began to move, she summoned the people to fast. She said, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to do my part. So she created this big feast for these people. See, Esther began to work and do what she was supposed to do. I want to encourage you today to begin working and do what you're supposed to do. If you're supposed to get the job, you're supposed to be getting a new job, start preparing for the new job. If you're supposed to be getting a new opportunity, start preparing for the opportunity. You're supposed to be launching a book, start preparing for the launch of the book. Whatever it may be, start doing what you're supposed to do because God is saying, this is your season. You were called for such a time as this. This is your breakthrough. This is your moving. But you got to get moving. You got to quit seeing yourself out of the old lens and see yourself as someone who is in the inner courts with God. God has so much more for you than what we see today. So my encouragement to you is to break forth. because you were called for such a time as this. This is not your season to be still. This is not your season to just sit there. This is your season to be working. God has placed that on me so strongly. Work and move forward, because you do not want to miss what God has for you. You don't want to look up and still see yourself in the same place. He says, I'm a God that will project you forward. I'm a God that will catapult you into something new, into a new dimension, into a new understanding, into a new faith, into a new blessing. That's the kind of God we serve. So God says, if you don't see that, then I need you to get moving. Moving in the area I'm calling you to. Get moving towards the vision I've shown you, the idea I'm giving you, the hunger I put inside of you, the passion. God says, get moving, because as you move, you will come into alignment for what you were called to do. See, Esther was called to free her people. That's what she was called to do, to deliver them from that situation. That's what she was called to do. But she couldn't do it sitting still. She couldn't do it sitting in fear. She had to do it by standing up on the word and remembering. She no longer was Esther the orphan. She no longer was Esther without her mother and father. She was no longer Esther unworthy. She was Esther the queen, who was in the inner court with her king. And so today, you are a queen, and you are in the inner courts with God. You're in the inner courts with God. So pull on those resources and those blessings and those revelations, because you are in the inner courts and you have more power and authority than you believe you do. So that is my encouragement to you. No longer looking through the old lenses, looking through the new lenses, and breaking forth, because you were called for such a time as this, and being willing to do the work in this season. Well, guys, I love you so much. I pray this video blessed you and encouraged you. If you liked this video, make sure you share it with at least one of your girlfriends so she can get uplifted and encouraged today. All right? Well, guys, be sure you go ahead and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. I love you so much, and I'll see you later. Also, before you go, drop down a comment. What's your biggest takeaway from this video? I love you guys, and I'll see you later. Hey, if you want more content from me, be sure you go ahead and subscribe and check out my other videos. I'll see you later.